You are on Top 5 video channel, and in today's issue we want to tell you about the 5 most dangerous natural disasters. A hurricane is a wind of enormous destructive power, having a speed of over 30 meters per second, or 12 on the Beaufort scale. Such a riot of elements, like a hurricane, can cause enormous destruction. It is impossible to fight them, but people have learned to predict their appearance and track their path. Not all hurricanes bring devastation with them. Some of them fall on uninhabited areas or dissolve without a trace over the ocean waters, but, in any case, this natural phenomenon is extremely dangerous. Hurricane Katrina was the most destructive in U.S. history, and also one of the 5 deadliest ever recorded. More than 80% of the territory of New Orleans was flooded with water. The hurricane struck in 2005 on the east coast of the United States. Despite the weather reports, people simply did not have time to prepare for the disaster. The damage amounted to $80 billion. The hurricane claimed 1,836 lives, 705 are still missing. Another 500,000 were left homeless. Moreover, approximately 80% of the area of New Orleans was flooded. In addition, marauders took advantage of the natural disaster, and the police were powerless in front of them. It is noteworthy that at this time the rating of President George Bush fell to 38%. The hurricane, dubbed Mitch, swept across the Atlantic Basin in October 1998. Meteorologists have assigned it the 5th category, the highest. Wind gusts then reached 320 kilometers per hour. The hurricane affected the territories of Nicaragua, Honduras and El Salvador. He completely devastated them and took the lives of 20,000 people. Most people died from mudflows, strong winds and tidal waves, which rose up to 6 meters in height. More than 1 million people were left homeless, and hundreds needed drinking water and medical supplies. This has even led to an increase in infectious diseases. Most tsunamis are caused by underwater earthquakes, during which there is an abrupt displacement of a section of the seabed. Tsunamis are formed during an earthquake of any strength, but those that arise due to strong earthquakes reach great strength. Most tsunamis occur in the Pacific Ring of Fire, a geologically active area where tectonic shifts make volcanic activity and earthquakes common. About 90% of the world's earthquakes and 80% of tsunamis occur along the Ring of Fire. The most devastating and deadliest tsunami hit the Indian Ocean on Boxing Day in 2004. The tsunami was the deadliest ever, with a staggering 230,000 death toll and affected people in 14 countries, with Indonesia hitting the hardest, followed by Sri Lanka, India and Thailand. The powerful undersea earthquake was up to 9.3 in magnitude, and the deadly waves it caused were up to 98 feet high. Also, the tsunami sweeps across the sea at speeds up to 805 kilometers per hour. They can cross the entire Pacific Ocean in less than a day. A kind of record was set by the tsunami in Alaska. In the sparsely populated Bay of Lituya, after an earthquake and blocks of stone and ice weighing about 80 million tons hit the water, waves from 300 to 500 meters in height rose. After the riot of the elements, the Green Mountains in the south of Alaska completely lost their forests and turned into lifeless rocks. Volcanic eruptions are one of the most terrible natural disasters, and the grander the catastrophe, the more deplorable are its consequences. The natural landscape is irreversibly changing, flora and fauna are suffering, people living near the volcano are in mortal danger. But most of the human casualties are not necessarily directly related to the eruption, as is usually portrayed in the canvases of artists and in disaster films. Throughout the history of the planet's existence, volcanoes have erupted on the surface of the Earth and in the oceans, geological formations through which Earth's magma comes to the surface, forming lava and volcanic gases. Today, more than 1,500 active volcanoes stand out, of which several dozen erupt annually. Lava flows, choking ash and clouds of poisonous gases are giving way to such constant companions of natural disasters as disease and hunger. And if we consider mortality exclusively during the eruption itself, then experts give the first place to pyroclastic flows. They are followed by lahars and volcanic tsunamis. Obviously, what makes these phenomena so deadly is their suddenness and high speed. Yellowstone is one of the largest supervolcanoes in the world. It is located in the national park of the same name in the United States, famous for its geysers. Over the past 2 million years, there have been several powerful eruptions, so Yellowstone is considered dormant. In the 1960s and 1970s, research by the U.S. Geological Survey scientist Robert Christensen showed that the caldera, the circus-shaped basin of the supervolcano, is approximately 55 and 72 kilometers in size, and thus occupies a third of the park's territory. The activity of supervolcanoes can lead to consequences in a planetary scale. After a supereruption, sharp temperature fluctuations can occur. Cooling even by half a degree on a planetary scale leads to a very sharp redistribution of air masses. Hurricanes and catastrophic precipitation are possible. For example, due to global warming in Australia, severe droughts occur, followed by tornadoes and hurricanes. And these are the consequences of minimal climate change. Earthquakes are tremors that vibrate the Earth's surface. These tremors are associated with shifts in the Earth's shells, the Earth's crust, or in the upper mantle. Displacements in the interior generate seismic waves, vibrations that propagate in the Earth's crust, subcrustal lithosphere, and in the Earth's mantle. Dozens of earthquakes occur on Earth every day. But most often these are weak and moderate events that are not felt on the surface. Earthquakes of magnitude from 4 to 5 do not cause much damage, but are recorded by seismic networks. Earthquakes with a magnitude of about 6 to 7 occur several hundred a year. Magnitude 8 occurs about 10 times a year. The most devastating magnitude 9 earthquakes occur about once every 30 years. The deadliest earthquake in human history occurred in Shaanxi Province on January 23, 1556. The Great China Earthquake. More than 830,000 people died in it. At the epicenter, 20-meter dips and cracks opened. The destruction affected the territories located 500 kilometers from the epicenter of the earthquake. Such huge human sacrifices are explained by the fact that the bulk of people lived in precarious houses, as well as in caves dug right in the hillsides. After the first aftershocks, the buildings began to sink into the loose soil, and the caves collapsed and were flooded with mudflows. In the first place, the most terrible natural phenomena is the fall of extraterrestrial objects. An asteroid about 10 kilometers in diameter that fell to Earth in the Yucatan Peninsula about 65 million years ago. The impact energy is estimated at 100 teratons in TNT equivalent. From the explosion, shock and heat waves passed along the Earth's surface, causing wildfires around the world. The raised dust and soot particles have led to climate changes similar to the nuclear winter, resulting in the mass extinction of the dinosaurs. Apophis, potentially dangerous asteroid, changes its orbit. This could lead to a collision with the Earth in 2068. In 2029, this 300-meter block will come so close to our planet that it will cross the orbits of geostationary satellites and will be visible to the naked eye. The next rendezvous will take place in 2036, another in 2068. Due to the Yarkovsky effect, the trajectory of Apophis deviates from the calculated 1 by 170 meters per year. This is not enough to lead to a collision in 2029 or 2036. But the fate of the planet in 2068 is already in question.